GM, everybody. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Meebits podcast. I'm really excited to have Timmu from ReadyPlayerMe and PlayerZero here with us today. He is an OG in the land of avatars, interoperability, and the metaverse. And we're really, really excited to be chatting with him today, given the partnership we just announced to bring all of the Meebits into the PlayerZero world. Timmu, welcome to the Meebits podcast.
GM, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Super excited about our partnership. I think we'll do some amazing things together. So and always happy to speak about all things avatars and virtual worlds and interoperability and other things around that.
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, right, when Meebits dropped, Matt and John wrote a little blog post that said, we envision Meebits to be the interoperable avatar of the metaverse. And obviously the metaverse, as an idea is still out there. We haven't really gotten, much closer than we were maybe a couple of years ago as far as people actively, living their life in that kind of like 3D immersive digital space. But we've made a lot of progress on like the back end technology side. And I know you guys have been driving a lot of that. But before we dive in, let's go back to the beginning. You've been working in avatars for well over a decade. Walk me a little bit through, how you got started and how that's evolved through time.
Yeah, totally. So, so I'm Estonian. I'm from Estonia. I grew up there. And then growing up, I played a lot of games. RuneScape was my game of choice. I had a little small kind of a hustle as a kid, selling RuneScape gold to other kids in school. That was my first that was my lemonade stand, basically. And then, that led to exploring things around gaming and also 3D. So when 3D printing actually came around, I started printing stuff just to mess around with it and figure out what 3D printing can do. That led to scanning objects, and that led to scanning people. And then it was like, oh shit, we can make avatars, we can scan people, we can make like a virtual version of them. So I was just messing around with it. And then around that time, Facebook bought Oculus, like the VR headset company. And it was like, oh, like it felt like VR is going to happen like now, back then. And then it's going to be social, and we all need an avatar that kind of represents us in this virtual world, and it needs to be like us and so forth. So that's where we really started, building a company around avatars and so forth. But we were like 20, so didn't really know much about building companies. But we built the hardware kind of scanner studio, scanned a bunch of people, built this like scanning pods we had in like cinemas and stuff like that, and scanned a bunch of people with hardware, and then used the database to build like a software-based character creation like tools, basically. Take a selfie, convert it into different styles of avatars. So I started selling that to gaming companies. Tencent was our biggest customer, but also like Wargaming and like H&M for virtual fitting. So all kinds of things around avatars, and it was like licensing, but it was also service, so it wasn't really scalable as a business, but it was like cash flow positive. And then eventually, the goal was always like have a database of avatars and then make them usable in many different games. And like that was just not the path we were on. We just like building custom character systems, and that eventually led to ReadyPlayerMe, which is basically kind of an avatar platform starting from developers. It's a very easy way to build a character system, avatar system for a game. So we launched that really took off. We now have thousands of companies using these tools, and that was like the first step of really getting into kind of an interoperable avatar, interoperable metaverse from that perspective. But I've been basically spending my entire career on avatars in some ways.
Have you refined your personal avatar like over time, or has it just been the same?
It's a good question. Yeah, I do refine it every once in a while. I also have a lot of other avatars from basically every PFP collection. But yeah, I've definitely I started from very realistic avatars at first, like scans, and then it went like very cartoony. So yeah, but I have a lot of them. I never know which one to use. I had one that I used for like 4 years, but then I got tired of it. So I'm looking for the next persistent avatar at the moment.
But you do have a gorgeous, gorgeous Meebit pig that is just an absolute chat. So hopefully that's the one.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I you know I'm creating avatars, so it has to be a PlayerZero avatar, and like I like mine as well. But yeah, the pig I got, I'm extremely excited about. I need to give it to my kids one day.
Nice. Nice. Hopefully, thousands of games where they could use it by then. I want to go back to something that you said there, which was evolution of not just your personal interest, but technology that you developed through time.
Hmm.
Scanning objects, 3D printing, scanning people, developing avatars. Now, in this world of Web3, I think we're very siloed or pigeonholed to just like specific things that people know. But there's a
Hmm.
lot of tech out there that both Web3 and the rest of the world relies on that we might not be very aware of. So
Hmm.
just curious, from the big brands that you work with outside of gaming, uh,
Hmm.
how do they like integrate those avatars? Like, what drives them to bring in somebody like Ready Player Me and say, "Hey, help us make avatars."
Yeah. Yeah, so we work with lots of different brands, like Adidas and Dior and Tommy Hilfiger and Ray-Ban and many others. So yeah, and like the problem they have basically is like they want to do things in virtual worlds, and the only way they can do that today is like going to Roblox, basically, and build a world and do this. But everyone's doing that, and they don't really get the access to the end user directly. So they're trying to find different ways of creating assets, or creating experiences in virtual worlds that is not tied to one specific game. And so that's how we work with them. It's like Adidas created the whole avatar collection, not NFTs. Just you answer to a bunch of personality questions, and you get like a very cool kind of abstract avatar. And then they wanted to make these avatars usable in games. And that's what we offered to them. So like anyone that had this avatar could come into ReadyPlayerMe and use it in a bunch of different games. Yeah, and with some other brands, it's more like virtual fashion collaborations. Like all the brands see, Fortnite makes whatever $4 billion a year with avatar wearables or skins, like basically outfits, and they have a brand in real life or the real world that is desirable. So all of them want to get access to games and virtual worlds because either they want to monetize it or they just want to access like this kind of younger audience and be where they are already, and kind of be relevant for this audience.
So all that technology, all those years of experience, you guys are putting together and bringing into Web3. Obviously, this integration with the Meebits.
Yes.
No, I love that. By the way, that's awesome. Like, it's not just like, hey, hey, let's make a game and let's have Meebits, and it's really literally technology that's been there for, worked on for a decade. Which we'll get into the topic of like specifically interoperability. But as you were
Hmm.
talking and sharing your career and the company's progress, what came to mind is just interoperability is not just hey being able to take one asset and show it in a game. It's more so take a lot of different technologies, right, and merge them together, merge mesh them together in
Hmm.
order
Hmm.
to really bring about something that's almost like greater of the sum of the parts, and
Yeah.
that's really really exciting because if you think about like the games on PlayerZero, like they're browser based, right, and some of them are mobile based.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of technology behind that game that really has nothing to do with Web3 or avatars or anything, but we're putting it all together, making it work, making something really 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 cool. I know Ready Player Me, capture a lot of attention because you guys are, very well funded. You guys have an insane cap table, really good backing from major, players both within Web3 and then the Web2 world. Talk to me about the relationship between Ready Player Me and PlayerZero. Is it, same company, different studio? How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah. So ReadyPlayerMe is basically the developer brand. So that's for the developer tools, SDKs, APIs. So either if you're kind of building a game, you can go there and like get a character system integrated quickly. Or now the new product that is connected with PlayerZero is basically onboarding PlayerZero users with their avatars to your game. It can be a Meebit, it can be a PlayerZero character, it can be something different, but you can onboard them to your game to get new users. And something we're also experimenting with now, or not really experimenting, but building out is, in order to enable interoperability or like create an incentive for interoperability. We're also sharing revenue from PlayerZero if we do our own like wearable drops or anything like that. We share that revenue with games based on where the wearables are actually used. Because ultimately, like game developers are the ones making the decision of opening up their world or not. Like that's where you want to be with your assets, with your avatars, with your identities. So game developers need to be incentivized to open up and get a share of the value that is created, through their game. Basically, they offer utility, so they need to get paid. So that's something we're doing with PlayerZero, and that's another kind of ReadyPlayerMe developer tool essentially. So RPM developer facing, PlayerZero consumer facing, same company, same team, legally same everything. So it's just two sides of the thing that we need to have both. Like you have to have the player kind of the destination where you can go and find the games that developers have kind of listed or whatever, and then you have to have the developer side, which is developer tools and everything. And we decided to keep it separate because it's clear kind of like communication from both sides.
So it's kind of like the developer layer and the app layer
Mm-hmm.
that you
Yeah.
guys are working with, just different brands under the same umbrella, but they're all working together, integrated together. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. I like that because I know your approach towards Web3 gaming, which is such a love and hate term. People love it, people hate it, but it really has been let's from my perspective, let's empower developers, let's empower gaming creators to bring about this new reality, wherever that might be, and so you give them the tools to do that. You're not precisely making the games yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We're not making games ourselves. Like, yeah, like there needs to be an incentive for games to open up. That's how we eventually get to the kind of open metaverse. And there needs to be tech for the games to open up. Like making a character or any 3D mode work across games is very hard. It's like there are no technical standards. So it's like impossible basically. So like that's the problem we've kind of solved with ReadyPlayerMe and like building avatars for a long time through the characters. And anyway, so like we have a way of kind of delivering the characters into different games with different technical spec. So that's one problem. That's the technical problem. And the second problem we're now really starting to solve with PlayerZero is like, okay, cool. Like I can import avatars to my game. Why? So okay, like you get users. Of course, the bigger the network of people that have these avatars and want to use them in more places, then it becomes obvious. If you have 50 million players there, it's a no-brainer. But on the way there, also like the early network, we incentivize by sharing revenue from wearable sales from the PlayerZero kind of consumer revenue, and that creates the first kind of set of games. We also bring games from the RPM network. And then like you grow the user base and create a bigger and bigger incentive, and that's the flywheel. More players, more games, more players. So that's kind of like that's why PlayerZero is very important, is to bring these like developer and player sides together.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love myself a good flywheel. We're working on ourselves for the broader Meebits ecosystem.
Yep.
But for us, it's super important to make sure that we're able to highlight the qualities of Meebits, right? The interoperability. Honestly, it's been really heartwarming to get calls from ecosystem partners and friends who are like, "Hey, we just want to bring the Meebits in because they look so good, because they're well made, because obviously of their
Yep.
provenance." So it's been really awesome working with you guys and seeing some of the progress with integration. We're still a few weeks out, but I personally cannot wait to see people, play with their Meebits.
Yes, I need to bring my pig to games. I'm so ready.
It
But
looks
yeah,
so good.
yeah, totally. I mean, the first time I saw Meebit in like PlayerZero and then going to different games, I was like, oh my god, we need to make this happen.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. From the previews, and we'll show some of them here for the audience. But there's one where Meebit's riding a bicycle, and I'm a cyclist. I actually have like my four bikes in the background. So that
Nice.
just made me so happy because you don't really we animate Meebits, but we never see them riding bicycles, and so to me, that's fun. I cannot wait to play that game. Now, let me ask you a question more about like the future.
Hmm.
Where is your company going? Where do you see, this like gaming universe as it starts to open up? Where are we, 5, 10 years, especially knowing what you knew 10 years ago and where you
Hmm.
see yourself today?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing is like people already spend a lot of time in virtual worlds and games like Roblox. An average 12 to 15-year-old like spends more time with their friends in Roblox than in like real life, you know. So the gaming, the virtual worlds and the metaverse is kind of there already. But it only lives in like either closed wall garden games. It's like a specific game, and your kind of social network and your avatars are stuck there, or Roblox and Fortnite that are like a slightly more open version. And Roblox is kind of like a glimpse to the future, I would say. So it's like it's one platform, it's self-contained, but they give players a consistent avatar. They give them assets that travel across games. You have a social graph, so you can keep playing with friends across games. You have the kind of essential elements for a consistent experience across games, and that's what the metaverse ultimately is. It's like it's a network of thousands and millions of different virtual worlds. Today, this kind of experience is only available in Roblox or Fortnite, to a certain extent. Our goal is to enable it in a fully open way throughout any game. And for that to really happen, of course, like we need to build eventually a fully decentralized kind of a protocol that becomes like public infrastructure and allows any developer to join, onboard players to their game, sell cross-game assets in their game. Any player can come in and own assets and have a consistent social graph and friends they can travel with throughout games with. So that's where we're moving towards, is like proving out these core concepts with some Web3 elements, but largely in a Web2 context where we can really quickly iterate, and then eventually building like a real kind of a protocol that enables all of this stuff in a fully decentralized way. So that's ultimately the thing we're working on, and the thing we're very excited about. The goal is that it's public infrastructure eventually, so anyone can tap into it, and it kind of becomes the backbone for kind of an open virtual world and metaverse.
Nice. That sounds super promising. And I remember you and I sat down in Soho, had a coffee, and you were telling me this whole
Yeah.
plan. And I was like, and I thought you were just making like cute video games with like characters on it. But here you are about to take on the world. Obviously, having a partner that has that kind of track record really leaves me comfortable, as we're stewarding this IP and making sure that the Meebits can really honor their legacy and their provenance. So really, really just, happy that we're doing this together. When the drop comes, it's not just the integration of the 20,000 Meebits, but we are enlisting the community's help to
Hmm.
design some really cool, wearables and attributes that are going to be able to be worn by Meebits and other avatars in the PlayerZero universe. Are
Yes.
there anything specific there, or like any ideas that you've seen so far that really excite you?
I love many of those assets. Like I think there's a boombox that is pretty awesome. I think we showed a glimpse of that already. I think there's a Game Boy somewhere hidden there. I think there's some secret traits potentially that transform Meebits a little bit. I'm excited about the general kind of vibe and direction, and the idea that Meebits are from New York, and we're kind of tapping into the kind of OG New York vibe a little bit, and also Meepco like moved into New York with the Meebits, and it's like you're moving into a new place, you're getting new gear, you're like leveling up your character. I think it's a cool thing, and my pig definitely needs a Game Boy or some of those other things.
We're gonna have to talk about the game of rarity, because when I saw it, I was like, I
Yeah.
mean, I need that, and I know a couple of your colleagues were also like, I need the Game Boy. Guys,
Yeah,
yeah, if we have not shown the Game Boy preview before this gets released, just know that it's like the coolest freaking thing ever.
it is.
And yeah, no, it's awesome for us. I think one of the philosophical things we had to like really worked through was, Meebits have, as you said, really cool New York City inspired attributes, traits, and clothing. How do we respect that while at the same time bringing them into like new games and new worlds and really giving them the ability to level up? But I'm really, really happy with kind of like the direction that we're taking. And yeah, some of the previews, we're going to share some of them here also on the podcast. So really looking forward to both the community's reaction and the community's involvement in making sure that we go in the right direction as far as what people prefer. Um,
Yes.
You've done other drops so far, though, right? For different wearables with like some other big companies in the space as well. What are the
Mhm.
learnings that you guys have from those early drops?
Yeah, let's see. What are the learnings? I think like what I'm very excited about, and that's also a learning with working with you guys, is like including the community and actually designing these things. First going into the depths with like the team and kind of understanding your perspective, and then coming up with something that we think is cool, and then including the community in kind of guiding the direction. I think that's something we should have done more, maybe with a few drops before as well as a learning. But yeah, in general, the idea with wearables is that instead of having a static character, it becomes more dynamic and it changes over time. So you can kind of level it up or change it based on the use case. Maybe you go into a shooter and you want to have like something that like is more shooter like, or maybe you want to do something different and so forth. But it basically becomes dynamic, and you can change it over time. Um, yeah, there's obviously magic in having the Meebit exactly in the way it is. Like I love my kind of like pig, but I also want to play with it. I want to like experiment with it, and that's the thing that kind of wearables allow you to do. So especially if you actually go into a game with the Meebit, it's kind of a natural thing. So yeah, I'm super excited about that for sure.
So I think it's actually, more of a natural reflection of our personalities if these avatars are going to represent us in virtual worlds, right? Like I don't wear
Yeah,
my Meebits hoodie every single day to every single lie. I do wear my Meebits hoodie everywhere. But I try to sometimes wear other stuff depending on the occasion, right?
yeah,
And I think, yeah, I think that better reflects kind of like human nature, like dressing up or dressing down or dressing different.
yeah,
Um, and it's awesome that you guys are enabling that, and it's awesome that Meebits is the first big NFT collection to be on the PlayerZero platform, leveraging the
yep.
ReadyPlayerMe technology.
That's right.
So thanks for having us. It's awesome to just see that happen.
Yeah, likewise, and I think it's a perfect first partnership for us as well, because Meebits are meant to be metaverse avatars. They're meant to go into games and be used in this way. So I think it's a perfect match from our side as well.
Now, before I let you go, because I know you're pretty busy today, I appreciate you taking the time. Big goal or dream for like interoperability. Like to you, does that mean every single character outside of Meebit, going into every single screen, every single game, or do you still see some value in like people having kind of like different environments and so on?
Yeah. So there will be definitely many games and environments where you want to go and like just immerse yourself in this world and this story and so forth. And there are many games like that I personally love, and I don't want them to have like other characters because I want to go into the story. But also, like games are being used as a social media platform, like widely. That's Roblox, that's Fortnite. So and that's the kind of that's the fastest growing kind of part of games. I would say it's just like a game as a social experience. It's the next generation of social media. And in these places, it really makes sense to have a kind of a consistent identity that you own, that travels with you, that has a lot of assets that kind of you buy to kind of express your identity and so forth. The dream for interoperability is that for these kinds of games and experiences, it becomes absolutely obvious that they want to build in an open way. It's like it becomes obvious that if you sell skins or you sell sneakers in your game that are usable in thousands of games, you'll make more money, and your users will again be happier. So like if you open up, you're gonna onboard a bunch of people to your game because they already have assets and avatars and they want to come there. So like the moment where it becomes absolutely obvious without having any philosophy involved in it, or like that's where like we really get to the open kind of metaverse, and that's the thing we're moving towards. That's why we do the revenue sharing between assets and games. It's like it just needs to become absolutely obvious that you want to be a part of this like open interoperable like economy, rather than being another kind of a walled garden, or building inside of another big wall garden. So yeah, that's the dream.
Awesome. It's almost full circle for Ethereum, right? Because obviously we all know it got launched because Vitalik was pretty pissed at I'm
Yeah,
not a gamer. So like some game taking away his like really expensive asset or
yeah,
rare asset. So yeah, love that it's coming full circle. I think for us, as we think of the four pillars of MeepCo, so art and provenance, fun utility, tech innovation, and community first, this really just taps all four of them, given that we're definitely making some cool fun art for the Meebits while respecting their provenance and the original
hmm
Matt and John's vision to be the metaverse avatars. Fun utility, I mean, people are gonna have fun. I have fun just looking. I mean, I've played the preview videos your team sends me like 20 times a day. uh, Tech forward, this is groundbreaking technology that your team has been building for well over a decade to really be able to bring, characters and avatars from one game to the next in different forms, sizes, shapes. I think, and one of the things that shocked me the most was, seeing how Meebits get reinterpreted depending on the game.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool. There's one that looks chunky, and I just love that. It reminds me of my fat days post COVID. And then community first. We're bringing in the community. We're asking, Meebits and those that are around the Meebits, that love the Meebits, that might not yet be a part of the Meebits, but to really come in and help us determine, which crews are gonna be, seeing their attributes and their equipment come to life. And so, yeah, no, it's been a really exciting process. I appreciate you guys, and I know the whole Meepco team is pretty excited for it. Any final words? Any kind of just things you want to leave us with? You have the whole Meebits audience here, just learning from you and really having an understanding of what goes behind the scenes into getting to the place where you can actually take your Meebit from one game to the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I think like maybe just to explain what's happening behind the scenes a little bit when you import your Meebit, that'll be useful, and then also like where will this thing go a little bit as well. So basically, no games, any game, like games don't have a standards for avatars. So when you click on a game in PlayerZero, we actually transform our Meebit between different file formats, animation rigs, body proportions. So like every game is already built with a certain kind of standards, and we match all this to this specific game. And the games you will play at first are like, simple web games, and we're launching many more of them. But we're also working on much bigger kind of titles that will come at some point over the year. So the utility for the Meebit will grow over time, and we'll definitely keep you posted on, new cool things you can do with it. Yeah, and in general, like it's a very important and exciting year for us. Also, just having built the auto tech and the developer side for a long time, now focusing on the PlayerZero and the consumer side and bringing all these things together is like very exciting. And we'll do more around this. We'll do a lot around this basically this year. And yeah, super excited to jump into these worlds myself with my new pig Meebit. I love what it looks like, and I hope all of you will enjoy it as well. And if there's anything you want us to change, or if there's any bugs or whatever, please let us know. And definitely happy to work with the community to get to a good experience and good results.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's an exciting time for Meebits, exciting time for PlayerZero, ReadyPlayerMe, for interoperability, Web3 gaming, and everything that's been so long in the works, and we're finally seeing coming to fruition. So thanks again for spending the time with us today. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in a shooter. Let's see how much damage we can do to that pig of yours. It's or something.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sergio. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and yeah, super excited to see how the community will use their Meebits in different places, and and the wearables as well.
Thank you.